Robots will not be taxed. Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. I do have merch so that you can buy. And I do have also donation places. You can do it at paypal.me/Shakaama or at patreon.com/Shakaama. If you're already a Patreon, you know about Patreon. I have it. So, robots. There's talk about robots being taxed. By who? Let's get into it. Let's get right into the news. There's a fear placed in the U.S. economy that robots will take all of our jobs. But wait, this is backed up by U.S. Democratic presidential candidates as well. But what is going on here? Will robots take our jobs? Yes, indeed they'll take our jobs. Just like horses took farmers' jobs. Just like tractors took horses' jobs. Just like robots took tractors' job. And yet, we're still eating. So, what happened to those farmers who used to pick cotton and greens by hand? Well, most of them switched to fast food restaurants and got paid a heck of a lot more than what they did picking cotton. For those of you who don't know, it used to be humans used to pick cotton by hand. Kind of silly, right? What if I told you just 50 years ago America was still working a majority on farms? And 50 years later we're working in offices. We switched from farming as a major source of income to technology itself being a major source of income. In fact, when the automatic machines showed up in England, workers took to destroying the machines and were called Luddites, based on a fictional character named King Ludd. Luddite. The Luddites were a secret oath-based organization of English textile workers in the 19th century, a radical faction which destroyed textile machinery as a form of protest. The group was protesting against the use of machinery in a fraudulent and deceitful manner, end quote. To get around standard labor practices, Luddites feared that the time spent learning the skill of their craft would go to waste, as machines would replace their role in the industry. Over time, however, the term has come to mean one who opposed to industrialization, automation, computerization, or new technologies in general. The Luddite movement began in Nottingham in England and culminated in a region-wide rebellion that lasted from 1811 to 1816. Mill and factory owners took to shooting protesters, and eventually the movement was suppressed with legal and military force. This is from Wikipedia. Not my words. This is the accepted thing from Wikipedia. Later on, it was found that those same textile workers started serving as the best repairers of those machines since they knew the job. Those industries started booming because no longer did they have to rely on the slow human workers, but could outproduce human workers by a factor of 10. And then entry into the industry opened up, so even more people could buy the machinery, and the former Luddites became repairers of the exploding industry. And jobs exploded, not decreased. I want to call your attention to YouTube for a second. I don't know if you know this, but there's entire genres of videos, mostly children videos, where machines make the videos. The machines write the scripts, make the video, make the audio, edit all three, and upload it, and they can do the entire process in a shorter period of time than it takes to YouTube to actually upload the video. And they can put out hundreds of these videos in a day. Let's take a look at China for a second. China has introduced a robot male and female newscaster. They look human, but they aren't even physically made. They are virtual newscasters, all digitally made. Let's jump over to Japan. Japan has 2 virtual singers that sing, put out records, and have concerts, all holographic, and thousands of people attend the concerts. Let's jump back to America. There are several virtual girls that are purely digital. No human girl is being used at all. There are Instagram girls, Facebook girls, and YouTube girls. All virtual. All programmed. On Instagram, they have huge followings who just found out they were virtual after constantly being asked to meet their fans. Competing virtual girls accounts started outing the virtual girls, and a feud broke out revealing they were all virtual and not real girls. Now, you can imagine that each virtual girl has an entire team that works with her to make her. That's way more jobs created than a solo Instagram girl. And that's how it's going to be with all of these jobs that are going to be replaced. However, America is reeling with the shock of needing advanced, skilled workers. There are millions and millions of computer jobs open that simply can't be replaced. While the U.S. Democratic candidates are doing their best to make people fear losing their jobs, they have ulterior motives. Namely, that they're not telling you to go back to be re-educated into the tech industries, and they're trying to tax the very robots taking the jobs. However, a recent vote gave the U.S. presidential candidates a resounding defeat and a no from people and company owners. At this point, a robot is nothing more than a light bulb. You can't continually tax a light bulb, no matter how beneficial that light bulb is. The same goes for robots. You can't take a robot because it's useful. So it is the typewriter so is the computer to the company, right? Also, taxing something gives you less of that something. So, if they tax robots, some people won't be able to pay the tax and run the business, so they won't be able to even start the business. Also, the question of Democratic Party asking for illegal immigrant votes will not be tolerated as much when the job market moves up and up and up the ladder in needing skilled workers, seeing that illegal immigrants have 0 skills. When we were all farmers, illegal immigrants with 0 education was all right. But now, when those jobs are shut off, and we need people that can repair those robots, it won't be tolerated. Why transfer people in who literally won't have jobs and can't do the jobs that they're open to, and they will be a drain on the economy? And I'm not talking about a couple of $1 million. We're talking about billions of dollars. Now they want to tax the robots to stop the spread. But the normal business people, who are mostly Democrat, said no. You can't tax my robot no more than you can tax my front door to my business. Since 2010, around 178,000 robots have been shipped to American companies. During the same period, about 1.2 million new manufacturing jobs were created while unemployment declined 6.1%, according to A3. Now, this is all according to Forbes magazine. Are you familiar with Forbes? Robot sales indeed have been on a roll, with 16,448 units sold during the first half of 2019, up from 15,350 during the first half of 2018, according to the Robotics Industry Association. Sales were higher, 19,331, during the corresponding period in 2017, a time when numerous automated factories were being fitted with new automation capabilities. In 2018, automotive-related original equipment manufacturer and suppliers, robot sales dipped, owing to the industry's cyclical nature, i.e. there are only so many technological overhauls to be had at any given period of time, factory at any given time. The strong start in 2019, relative to last year, came as an auto robot sales rebounded, said the RIA's Vice President spokesman Bob Doyle. The auto industry accounts for roughly 1/2 of all robot sales. Quote, "The boom that we've seen in robotics since 2012 has been led by the auto industry," Doyle said. "It also reflects a growing number of non-auto manufacturing moving to keep pace with a global trend, lest they get left behind by the competition," Doyle said, adding that many, if not most, factory owners have trouble filling positions due to the shortage of humans willing to take on lower-paying, tedious tasks. So do you understand? They have job openings in the car manufacturing that they had before. Let's not mistake this. That they had before doing repetitious tasks, tedious tasks all day long. People don't want to do those jobs. Did you hear me? People do not want to do those jobs. Oh, we're not talking about picking cotton. We're talking about manufacturing a car. This is not to say the shift toward more robotics in manufacturing doesn't deserve the attention of policymakers. Candidates such as de Blasio and Andrew Yang are not being outlandish and worrying about certain segments of the workforce, says Forbes. Then again, the situation likely is not as dire as some would purport, says Forbes. By 2022, more than 75 million jobs worldwide will be lost as companies shift to more automation, according to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report. However, 133 million new jobs are expected to emerge during that same period, as businesses forge a new division of labor between humans and machines, said the same report. So that's 75 million jobs lost versus 133 million jobs gained. Quote, "Although these predictions are made by dozens of global experts in economics and technology, no one seems to be on the same page," Winnick said. In 2017, the European Union, in one fell swoop, voted to regulate robotics while also rejecting a robot tax. So yeah, even Europe said no to taxing robots, de Blasio's critics scoffed, according to Forbes magazine. As pointed out, no industry has adopted automation more than the auto industry. Thus, it's logical place to look for evidence of displacement. Robots first showed up in automation plants starting in the late 1960s. Automation is a part of the reason there are less auto workers today than 1/2 century ago. But how big a role it has played remains hard to pin down. Auto plants closed over the past few decades for a variety of reasons, including increased competition and the availability of lower cost labor in other countries. So, let's take a look at what this is saying. There are less auto workers in the United States by itself today than there were 50 years ago, right? However, if you take a look at auto workers worldwide, it is booming. Why? Because companies have actually moved overseas to where auto workers don't charge you $80,000 to $200,000 a year for one single auto worker. With all pay, all subsidies, and all benefits, an auto worker can make upwards of $200,000. An auto worker. And they go on strike, which means they shut down your plant, which means you don't make any money. I didn't include a lot of stuff in this report, but let's keep going. This past week, about 49,000 members of the United Automobile Workers went on strike at 33 General Motors plants around the country. The last time they went on strike, in 2007, UAW's GM workers totaled 73,000 workers, right? In 1991, GM employed 259,000 hourly production workers. But it is impossible to make a direct correlation between the number of UAW workers and automation. Although one could argue that had some auto manufacturing companies, quote, automated at a faster rate and earlier, perhaps some of those closed down plants would still be in operation, Doyle said. A GM Industry 4.0 has been a mantra. This encompasses automation, sensors, Internet of Things, connectivity, and data analytics to drive productivity and innovation. So what they're saying is they can't have they don't have a crystal ball, and you really cannot see 2020 to say, what if? But a lot of car manufacturing, a lot of car plants shut down, and they're saying, what if what they really should have been doing was getting some robots into their plants to automate their plants, cut down the cost of labor, and upping production with robots in their plants. All of those jobs could have been saved, if not increased, and the plants could have been saved with robots. During a recent period of increased profitability, 2012 to 2016, GM grew from 80,000 U.S. employees to 105,000, while increasing the number of new U.S. robot applicants to approximately 10,000 according to A3's 2017 white paper exploring work in the age of automation. Quote, the rise in manufacturing jobs is driven by product demand, the report said. Quote, but other areas of rising employment includes areas such as IT insourcing and position in advanced technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you that we are trying to move into the technology age. We are trying to move into the singularity age. Singularity means where the robot becomes smarter than a human. That's singularity. Where the robot and human completely meet. I don't think it's possible because people's definitions of what a human is keeps changing to fit their needs. People now say that they have invented computers smarter than humans, which I believe is completely ridiculous. Because then when you take a look at how does the computer quote unquote think, it doesn't. It simply plays a video game or plays a chess match, and then they limit the chess match to only mean this little tiny box, and then they play somebody in chess. So, the computer did not actually beat the world champion of chess. The computer didn't actually beat the Fortnite player. The computer champion didn't actually beat the Dota player. The computer champion didn't actually beat the League of Legends player. They made different set of rules for the computer and human to play in, and then the computer played 1,000,000 of those games to get up to speed to the human, and then within those set of rules he beat him. He didn't beat him in open chess. He didn't beat him in open League of Legends. So there is not a computer today that can do what a human can do. And they have said to reach singularity, they would have to build a computer that would have billions and trillions and quadrillions of computations each and every macrosecond. That's smaller than a millisecond. A human forgets stuff faster than he can even think of stuff. So when you walk through your house, to go pick up the keys to your car, you have already thought about 1,000 things. You are way smarter than robots. They need people in the technology age. We haven't even reached the singularity age. They need people in the technology age. Millions and millions of jobs are open right now. And the American population, due to its education, due to the very fact, and I know I'm going to step on some toes, but this is the truth, I'm sorry to tell you this, due to trying to shoehorn women into the sciences, and the women turn around and quit at all stages, including actually getting the job, moving up the ladder a little bit, and then quitting. So all of those stages, they quit in school, change degrees completely. Literally, you can have 100 women in a program, and by the end of the first semester, there's one. You're left with one. And this is after pouring millions of dollars into this. So the focus being trying to shoehorn women into the sciences, which means that takes away men being in the sciences. You don't have any sort of millions of dollars donated to get men into the sciences at all. And men will stay in the sciences, as we see. Men do quit the sciences in the first semester, but not like women. Not nowhere near like women. There's not 100-to-1 ratio. It's more like 30%. Right. To even get into it, you have to be interested. And the men who are interested get into it of their own free will. And they're not shoehorned into it. So then, let's say 4 years, let's say the first semester, 199 women dropped out. Let's say in the 4-year mark, you had 100,000 women come through the program and drop out. On graduation day, you have 20 remaining women. Now, those 20 remaining women are still trying to be shoehorned into getting into the sciences and engineering and technology. They actually get the job. So meaning that a man was forced out of the job. Yes, that's how it happens. And then they are shoehorned into the job. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Those 20 women have been whittled down to 1. And that one that keeps on going ends up basically acting like a man, having the characteristics of a man. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I'm telling you what is a fact. This is the same thing that the soft science women notice about when they meet the hard science women or high level executive who are women. So these soft science women, which is something that the soft science that the women actually like, actually are interested in, and then they meet these hard science women or these high level female executives, and they say, you're basically meeting a man. She's not married, she has no children, and she wears pants, and she basically acts like a man. She has all the characteristics and behaviors and lifestyles of a man. So now you've created, for whatever reason, I don't know the reason, you've created a pattern where the best behavior to be successful in the sciences and technology is to be a man, even though women are in it. Now this is evidenced by, again, women who are in the soft sciences. Your sociology, your psychology, your interactive soft sciences that don't require a whole bunch of computation and calculations to do their job. That you can look up yourself as well. Will robots take our jobs? Yes, but I'm trying to tell you, they will create 10 times more jobs. This can be seen in the automotive industry right now today. We don't need to guess about that. We don't need a crystal ball for that. Robots taking over jobs will create far more jobs than they will take over. Now in China, they fired 30,000 people out of a banking building and put it all in automation for insurance, banking, financials, what have you, right? They do not tell you, I don't have it, they do not tell you what jobs were created because of that. Because information coming out of China is very limited. And the Chinese do not ask probing questions, if you can imagine. Thank you all for watching. I don't want you to fear robots. I don't want you to fear technology. I want you to get into robots and technology yourself, because that's what we need. We're leaving the information age and coming into the technology age. Thank you all for watching. Please leave a like. It doesn't mean that you like the video. Doesn't mean that you like the information. Doesn't mean you like me. It simply means that you're interacting with the video and YouTube likes to see that. Thank you all.